right, so today we're going to be doing the sum and difference identities. So what you're going to need is you're going to need to grab these notes right here, and we're going to be using the sum of angles and the difference of angles notes when we do these two things. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to find an A and a B, so two angles that add up to what we're given, but they're two angles that we know. So, for example, I started off with sine of 105. Since it ends in a 5, I know for sure it's 45 plus something. So that's why I wrote 45 right there. So I'd say 45 plus 60 gives me a sine. So then I'm going to look at my handy dandy chart over here, and it tells me that wherever I see an A, I'm going to put a 45, and wherever I see a B, I'm going to put a 60. So then that says sine of 45 cosine of 60 plus cosine of 45 sine of 60. And then we just have to know your values. So sine of 45 is radical 2 over 2. And then cosine of 60 is 1/2. And why I put plus there is a times. Plus cosine of 45 is radical 2 over 2 times. And then sine of 60 is radical 3 over 2. And so we just add these up. So that gives me a radical 2 over 4 plus radical 6 over 4. So we get radical 2 plus radical 6 over 4. So there's an exact answer. So when you type in sine of 105 in your calculator, this is the answer it'll give you as a decimal. So number 2, same thing. I knew it had to be 45 plus something. So it's going to be 45 plus 120. So now we're going to use the cosine rule right here. So wherever I see an A, I'm going to put 45. Wherever I see a B, I'm going to put 120. So I'm going to do, cosine, let's see, cosine of A, so 45, and then cosine of B, 120, minus sine of A, sine of B. So I know cosine of 45 is radical 2 over 2, and this right here is a negative, and the reference angle is 60 degrees. So cosine at 60 degrees was 1/2, so I have negative 1/2 here. And then minus, this is radical 2 over 2 again. This is going to be positive because we're in the second quadrant. Reference angle again is 60 degrees, so that's going to be radical 3 over 2. So this gives me negative radical 2 over 4 minus radical 6 over 4. So I get negative 2, or negative square root of 2 minus square root of 6 all over 4. All right, so negative square root of 2 minus 4 is 6. All right, on number 3, I went ahead and gave you the angles that you're going to need for these. So hopefully, and it's really just a trial and error when I was trying to figure out which angles I needed to pick, what could add up to it with the angles that I knew. So like knowing your angles on your unit circle and just trying to add them to get 19. Another idea might be to change it to degrees. It might be easier for you to find the degree one. I always have more success finding degrees. So cosine again is cosine of my A times cosine of my B minus sine of A, sine of B. All right, so cosine of 4 pi over 3, so that puts me in the third quadrant, and the reference angle is pi over 3, so that gives me a negative 1/2. This is first quadrant just off of our chart, and pi over 4 is radical 2 over 2. Sine is going to be negative in that quadrant also, so I'm going to get negative, and the reference angle for pi over 3 would be radical 3 over 2, and then that's the first quadrant, radical 2 over 2. So I get negative radical 2 over 4 plus radical 6 over 4. So I'm getting negative radical 2 plus square root of 6 all over 4. That answer. All right, down here, again, I already gave you your answers to get it. So A is going to be a negative pi over 4, and B is going to be a negative pi over 6. So you could do the difference angle formula, but really you should get the same answer if you just go ahead and make your angles negative for them. Like if you made it a negative pi over 6 angle. So I'll show you on both of them. So this could be, your sine would be sine of negative pi over 4, and then cosine of negative pi over 6, plus cosine of negative pi over 4, and then sine of negative pi over 6. So if I do this right here, this is putting me in the fourth quadrant. So that's going to be a negative radical 2 over 2. Fourth quadrant is positive. for cosine. And then that's fourth quadrant, so that's positive radical 2 over 2. And then there's going to be a negative and 1/2. So I get negative radical 6 over 4 minus radical 2 over 4, negative radical 6 minus radical 2 over 4. Now what I could have done is instead if I had used the minus formula here and made my b positive, then the b being positive here does not change it, right? Because cosine of a negative and the positive is the same. And all I did here is that if this had been a positive, the negative just came out in front according to the rule. So whether you use the sum or difference angle formula, I just learned the sum formula, and I never learned these negatives because they naturally happen from the sums. So that's the way I'll be doing these notes, but you can use either one you want. So this right here, I'm going to be using my tangent formula, which is right here. Oops, pull down a bit. So tangent of A plus tangent of B over here. So your A is pi over 4 and your B is 5 pi over 6. So I'm going to put tangent A plus tangent of B, 1 minus tan A times tangent B. So then tangent of pi over 4 is 1. And then this is a negative because tangent is negative at 5 pi over 6. So I'm going to put minus, and then that gives me radical 3 over 2, or radical 3 over 3, I mean, which is 1 over radical 3. This is 1 minus, and this will be 1 times a negative radical 3 over 3. So adding, so this becomes addition here. And then here. So this on top gives me 3 minus radical 3 over 3. On bottom, I'm going to get divide by 3 plus, right? Yeah, radical 3 over 3. So flip and multiply, those will cancel. So I'm going to get 3 minus radical 3 over 3 plus radical 3 as my answer. Number 6. So this right here, pi over 4 minus 5 pi over 6 will give me that right there. So I'm going to go ahead and use the addition formula again, but I'm just going to make my second angle a negative so you can see how that works. I'm going to do tangent pi over 4 plus tangent of negative 5 pi over 6, 1 minus tangent of pi over 4 times tangent of negative 5 pi over 6. So tangent of pi over 4 is 1 again, and then negative 5 pi over 6 is going to be the same as over here, so it's radical 3 over 3, but it's a minus, so minus radical 3 over 3, and then 1 minus, and so I'm going to end up with plus here because it's minus a negative over 3. So I should get the same bottoms and stuff, and I flip it, but this time when I get it, did I mess up over here somewhere? I'm trying to see. Yeah, no, I'm right. Okay, so I think this is right. So then when I do it over here, so I was looking at the answer key and checking. So when I multiply over here, I'd have 3 minus radical 3 over 3. And on bottom, I now, wait, oh, I should have had a minus over here, maybe. Oh, it's a negative, sorry. So this one here is actually a negative, or negative, and then a tangent of negative 5 pi over 3 would be positive now. Yes, this is actually a positive answer here. I don't know what I was thinking. So that's positive and makes this minus. Makes this positive and makes this minus. I really should get more sleep. So then I get 3 plus radical 3 over 3 minus radical 3 is the answer for number 6 there. So condensing, I'm just going to use these formulas and go backwards. So on this one, I notice it's my tangent formula. So my A is 48 and my B is 102. So I just put it back as 48 plus the 102. That gives me tangent of 150. And then tangent of 150 is just my negative 1 over radical 3 or negative radical 3 over 3. This is my cosine rule right here. Cosine of A minus cosine of B, or times it minus the signs. So that's my A and that's my B. So I'm going to have cosine of 300 plus 15 equals cosine of 315. Cosine of 315 is just positive radical 2 over 2. Down here is another tangent rule, but since it's the plus here, then I know it's going to be the minus between the two rules. So I'm going to have tangent of 5 pi over 18 minus, instead of plus, like that. So 5 pi over 18 minus pi over 6 gives me 9 pi over 36, which is just pi over 6, or pi over 4. Tangent of pi over 4 is 1. This is my sine formula. So this is my A and that's my B. So I'm going to have 13 pi over 10 plus 2 pi over 15. Get your common denominator and add, and I get sine of 35 pi over 30. That reduces to sine of, let's see, 7 pi over 6. Sine is negative, and then at pi over 6, it's a half. So your answer is negative a half. All right, on to the back. So on these problems right here, if I have, so this is like cosine of, like right here, where's the plus one right here? Sorry, let me move it over for you guys so you can see it. So this is like cosine A, cosine B plus sine A, sine B. So all we're going to do is we're going to subtract the two answers for cosine. So it's just cosine of 2x minus 4x. So that's cosine of negative 2x. Now you could have that, but cosine is an even function, you guys. So an even function, cosine of negative 2x, is the same thing as a cosine of 2x. And if you forget which one's even and odd, you can look right here. Cosine says negative equals positive because it's even function. All right, this right here looks like my tangent of the plus, which is right here. So A is going to be 4 theta and B is going to be theta. So I'm going to say tangent of 4 theta plus theta would give me tangent of 5 theta. This looks like the sine rule for me, sine alpha cosine beta, but it's a minus, so we have to use the subtraction one over here. So it's going to be subtracting them instead of adding them. So I'm going to have sine of pi over 2 minus alpha. So you could leave it like this. If you do remember, look, sine pi over 2 minus alpha, that is cosine. Isn't that tricky? So you could say cosine of alpha, and really not infinity of alpha, and get it really down. So this again is tangent, but it's the negative since it has a minus on top. So I'm going to do tangent of y minus my pi over 2, and then do the same trick, tangent of pi over 2 minus alpha. This is reversed, so we're going to have to use the negative of it. So remember, it's going to be tangent of negative tangent of pi over 2 minus y, and this is going to be cotangent. So we're going to have negative cotangent of y as your final answer.